Lost my freaking hat again. Hey everybody, it's Ryan. Welcome back to How Farms Work. We got a ton of rain in the last 24 hours. When I say a ton, I mean like 6 inches. We got probably 3 inches this morning, on top of the 3 inches that we got yesterday, last night. And it caused some pretty severe flooding in parts of Wisconsin, at least. I know that the storm went through the whole Midwest, but we need to go down into the pasture and check the floodgates this morning, just to make sure that everything's kosher down there, that the fences aren't gone. Otherwise, we got to worry about the cattle getting out. So I'm going to take the four-wheeler out. Rocket and I are going to go check all the floodgates. There are 1, 2, 3 that we need to go check on this farm. And then we're going to take the four-wheeler over to the farm. And I got a bucket here. I'm going to go take it out to the creep feeder and check on how the feed is doing out there. The calves have been munching on it a little bit, but I'm going to go check to see if they've got what I put in yesterday gone. I'm slowly working them up to start eating that feed. And once I know that they're eating a healthy amount of it, then I'll start worrying about getting a full mix out there and actually fill the creep feeder up instead of just dumping buckets in it at a time. So what do you say we fire the four-wheeler up and head out? Well, at least the mud is nice and saturated again. I'm starting to get a little worried. This pasture currently doesn't have any cattle in it. At least it shouldn't. Whoa, boy! Just a little freaking muddy. Four-wheeler started to slide sideways coming down that hill. Well, you can see where the flood came down through last night. But once my cows get the other pasture grubbed off, we're going to, the current game plan is to make the 4 hillsides up here into hay, because we are going to be short on hay this year. We're going to make that into hay, take it out, and then let the cows back out into this pasture once they have the other one grubbed off. So that way we can rotate them and extend our feed a little bit, have a little bit extra hay that we can make rather than just leaving them out on it full time. Looks like the creek, whatever you want to call it. I say creek, you say creek. Looks like it is swollen up a little bit. But this morning the flood water was up to here. I actually came outside this morning when it first started at like 4:30. But the lightning was so insane, I just kind of sat in the house and waited for it to pass. But I knew that it was going to be this bad. The Platte River, which this one actually connects to, was up to the bridge this morning. Oh boy, how the heck am I going to get down in that now? I'm going to leave this here. This is going to be interesting. Woo-hoo! Ugh. Well, this fence is still here, kind of. It's about the same as it always is. I see that the bottom wire got sheared off from the top ones, but it's still hanging down in the water, so if cows were in here and tried to walk through it, they'd still have some resistance up against it. If cattle wanted to get through this floodgate, they really could. At 5 o'clock this morning, this was all underwater. All this had water running down it. See, now this is why you come and check floodgates, because it doesn't need a big repair. Basically, I just need to stand on it and get it back down to the ground. Come on. Crap. Put. All right. That's better. And now my socks are wet. Come on. Alley-oop. Gotcha. All right. We're out in the Klein pasture now. I just checked the last 2 fences and they're still intact, but taking it nice and slow for Rocket. He decided he wants to walk. He didn't want to ride in the four-wheeler. Here's a couple of my cows. Wow. Even out there is a pond by the trees. And here we are at one of the cows' favorite hangout spots. At least the floodgate's there. We call it a floodgate. It's more like just a fence across it, but looks like a couple trees got pushed into it. Well, I'm not too worried about it for now. I'll let it go until our next flood, which is probably going to be tomorrow. Well, looks like our rain shield did us a lot of good. So the drain plug is plugged. Good thing I brought my knife with me. Need to find that plug and poke a hole through it. Okay, so what I'm not liking is the fact that this can't drain. What I'm thinking about doing is going back to the farm, getting a drill, and drilling out this drain hole on the end of the bunk here, because it's supposed to be draining out. I positioned the feeder so that it would be, it's facing in the optimal direction to block the rain from coming in. But unfortunately, you can't really know which direction the rain's gonna come in from all the time. And as such, it's full on this side of the bunk. So I'm gonna go back to the farm, probably drill that out later this afternoon. But I'm gonna leave the bucket in here and just come back later with a drill and drill that out so that the water can drain easier, because this is very not good. Maybe even drill like a secondary hole. You don't want to make too many holes because you don't want to lose feed through them, but on the other hand, you need to make sure that this doesn't happen. I'd say there's about half the feed left from what I put in yesterday, so they are eating it, but it's just hard to tell how much they're eating today because of all the rain that's in there. All right, Rocket, let's go. Come on. Oh, here it is. At least it didn't go far.
Pick it up there so you can get it back on.
don't know. Really looks like that's the only place there's damage is where it blew around the bins. We should probably come up here and unload these first because they're wet. Looks like it rolled.
Holy crap, took the wind out of it. They said they thought maybe it was a small tornado. Wow. Oh my God. That was a good barn.
I did forget that there was a fourth fence on this property that I had to check, and it would be right here. It's looking good. It's never really caused us any problems in the past because this creek actually starts right on the other side of the road. So I brought a drill out. I'm gonna head over to the creek feeder and I'm gonna drill that hole a little bit larger. Doesn't that look tasty? I've got it draining now. The issue was that someone put the drain hole right over the iron, this angle iron here, that runs across the unit. So the drain hole didn't have enough space for anything in the bunk to not obstruct it. It was basically just a tiny sliver. So I'm gonna let it drain out. I'm probably gonna dig out all the feed that's in there right now and just kind of toss it on the ground and put some more back in it, because I don't think the calves are gonna eat what's been in here after it's been soaking. It's a different thing if it gets wet, but when it's actually been like sitting here for 12 hours and has gotten wet, I know they won't eat it anyway, and it's just gonna sit there and rot. So I'm gonna dump it out. I took some Flex Seal out and Flex Sealed the bunk on the creep feeder. So that's good to go. I'm gonna continue feeding the calves and just get them used to eating that all stock feed. So looking at this week, we're probably gonna start hauling soybeans. We're probably gonna start at that Burton farm, hauling the soybeans out up there first, because after that storm, we had gone up and checked on the soybeans up there and one of the panels flew off. So I had to put it back on and I hopped down into the soybeans and the top was wet. But underneath, thankfully, it didn't really get too wet at all. So what did get wet in there is just going to mix in with the rest of the soybeans. It's not going to be a big issue at all. But if we hadn't caught that right away and it continued to rain, that could have been a pretty big problem, considering the amount of rain that we've been having lately. And soybeans just love to soak up moisture. So the ones on top just kind of like inflated. And I could see looking down that they were wet. But we crawled in and checked the moisture on them, and in that bin, the beans are sitting around 10 to 13%, but mostly it's on that 10% side. Where I had picked up the 13% moisture was right under that door that had flown off, and as expected, those would be a little bit more wet. But this week we're going to sell as many soybeans as we can. I've got 2,000 bushels to sell. Dad's got several thousand bushels to sell. And then all of our bins will be ready for this harvest. Other than that, we're still looking at harvesting the oats, just don't know when. If the weather ever clears up and gets nice, but otherwise it's been pretty wet here for the last few months. With that, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to check out all of our other ones. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. All How Farms Work. And with that, we'll see you next time.